Hello, good morning. This is Dr. Devasena Desai, currently as the Associate Director for Kaveri Counseling and Empowerment Center and Kaveri Gifted Education and Research Center. It's my privilege and honor to introduce to you our guest who has been our speaker in the month of April in our series Gifted and Disability. We have Mrs. Mukta Jatkar. She has a master's from Kansas University in education. She has more than 15 years of experience working in the field of special education. I think she has trained several special educators and parents across Maharashtra and worked. She has her own center called the Mukta's Remedial Learning Center in Nagpur. And we are very, very happy and delighted because we always felt we need to address the parents who struggle when they come to know the children have difficulty, especially when they are gifted and they see other forms. So welcome, Mukta, into our part series 2.
Thank you, Devasena. I'm very happy to be here with Kaveri Gifted Education Services. And this is my favorite topic. So looking forward to more discussion about it.
Wow. Our previous series, if people haven't watched, please look into our YouTube channel at the Kaveri Gifted Education Center. It was on April 8th. In this series, in the previous series, we talked about giftedness and learning disability, ADD and ADHD, and a little bit about autism. And we had many viewers, and you very clearly explained each and every aspect of giftedness and learning disability. And today, I feel that we need to also go a little further and talk about parents. Once diagnosis happen, what are the parents' reactions normally? Can you share with us?
Yeah, sure. Like we have discussed in earlier part, that giftedness doesn't always come alone. It does come with certain associated disability. So when the parents hear the dual diagnosis, I can say, or when they find out the child is twice exceptional, they are kind of confused, like, how can that be? Or they are like, but ma'am, you are saying that he's having reading writing issue, and at the same time you are saying he is very intelligent, much more intelligent than his classmate, but my child is not even able to read. How is that possible? Or my child is not able to sit at one place, and his books are incomplete. Then how is that possible? The child is gifted, at the same time he also has learning disability, because uh, what we think, or we can say mainstream thinking, is that if the child is intelligent, he is academically also excellent or superior in his class, but that is not the case always. So I can say the parents take little time to kind of get to understand what it is all about and how the twice exceptionality is present in their child.
I also hear a lot of denial, which delays parents seeking support from special educators immediately.
Right.
Because, like you rightly said, it is very difficult for parents, and we really understand. And it must be a painful experience because this is a new path where more attention needs to be given. As a child rearing has become so difficult and challenging, and on the top,
Right.
if we were to pay more attention. So, what are the challenges they face initially?
Like you said, just now you mentioned, uh, getting services from the respected professional like special educator or any occupational therapist if required, they do take time to reach to the professional, because then they think, okay, my child is intelligent, so he will manage to cope with his learning problems on his or on her own. So that is the first challenge. Okay, then there is another set of parents who say, okay, so this is what we need to do with our children. And then they look looking for a suitable professional, I mean, the qualified and trained personnel who can understand their child and work with them. That is the second challenge. Third challenge is that how to, reach the parents about it. How to reach the teachers about it. Sometimes in the regular schools also, not all the teachers or, the principals are aware about this twice exceptionality. So that is another challenge. And if the school is not cooperative, then which school will really cater the needs of my children? Then changing the school or changing the board if required, that is also another challenge. And at home level also, if the siblings are there, then the most of the time is given to the child who needs more help. So they have to balance that also. So
It's
that
a
is
lot
some
of
of the,
challenges
yeah,
from
lot
what you're
of
saying.
challenges. Yeah, if you think from parents' perspective, yes, there are many challenges.
They are uh, basically at that stage. I think it's also very raw and emotional because, like you rightly said, how many visits to do, whom to approach, how many sessions a child will require. Is it like tuition? Can I, that's the common thing that
Yeah,
comes to a
yeah.
parent's mind. So, what are your views on that?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that question. Because when the parents think about remedial intervention or any kind of therapy, they think, okay, I'll take the child every day and get it fixed within a month or 2 months. And it's like a crash course, like you finish it in 1 month. And anyway, my child is intelligent. So I'm sure that he or she will cope with it uh, faster.
Faster.
So yeah, I have many parents coming to me and asking me, so ma'am, right now the school syllabus is much and he has a entire day school, especially if the child is attending CBSE school, okay? And they're like, so madam, we'll do one thing that we'll, get it fixed in Christmas vacation, or after that they have long weekend. So, like getting him regularly is little tough. So now that is one set of parents again. Another set of parents again, okay, the whoever they go to, and if that person or professional tries to tell them, okay, you bring him every day. And parents are really, okay, I'll take the child every day, and maybe if I'll take the child every day for the session or for the therapy, my child will recover from these problems, uh,
As early as
fast.
possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that is how, like you see, two different set of parents and
Approaches.
contradictory. So what I will say, they have to balance between two. Like I'm working for many years, and if the child is going to get help regularly, so when I define regularly, it means maybe twice a week or 3 times a week during the week, depending upon the severity of his learning issues.
That is
Okay,
true.
if the severity is more, the very severe child, I may call that child maybe 3 times a week. If the child is moderate, then maybe twice a week is also sufficient for
Fine.
that child. So it varies from child to child, because you may come across with the parent, oh, so and so child is going every day. Then why aren't you calling me every day? Or so and so child is going twice a week. Then why are you calling my child 3 times a week? So that is how you have to balance, because the first thing the parents have to remember, this is not something you fix it in 1 month or in 1 year. At times, if the problems are severe, the child is gifted, so that will help him to learn the things faster. But when it comes to execution in day-to-day
The
life,
child is
it's
struggling.
still going to take time for that child, because he is a child, he's not adult like us. So we have to give that time to process whatever the child is learning during the session. So if the child is going to require therapy for a year or two, there is no point in calling the child every day, because anyway the child is going to take time for, to deal with his problems for 2 years or 1 year. So that is how I look at it. That is what my perspective is.
Will be.
And I'll tell you why, because it is not easy for parent to balance the school and therapy life, plus their social or co-curricular life. And they may get exhausted at the end of it, and they may just give up. Okay, I'm taking the child 4 times a week or every day, and still there is no required result. Then there is no point in continuing the therapy, and they just stop abruptly. So we have to look after that part of the parent also when we suggest them, especially when both the parents are working.
Okay. Wonderful. I also wanted to know um, that when children are doing the therapy, do you also involve parents because they need to monitor, they need to, see that the skills are transferred? Because anyway, these kids, if you look at ADD or ADHD, they all need support, and they
Right.
might have 30 to 40 minute session with you or even an hour, but rest of the time they are either at school and at home. So what kind of support parents can do there?
Okay. Like you have mentioned it, I do involve parents during the session, so they learn the strategies I am using with the child. Because child is not going to tell the parent, this is how Tante taught me.
Mm.
So if I give them live demonstration, see, this is how you work. And the parents, I would like to give this message. You should go to the professional who is keeping that or maintaining the transparency about the session.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think
That
it's a
is
very, very
very, very
important point.
important. And they have right to ask that, can we see how you are going about it? Otherwise, that place may not be very helpful for you as a parent to work at home. Because like you said, child is going to come only twice a week, right? And the rest of the days, the parents are going to work with the child. So
That's
here,
right.
like, let me give you just one example of maybe if with the child who has no reading skills, absolutely. I'm
Mm.
trying to teach him phonetically, maybe. Let's take very common example. I'm trying to teach the child at a cat, okay? And the parents are not really aware about how phonics work, and parents are teaching CAT. Then
Oh,
what the child is supposed to do. And I do have experiences or real incidents where um, sometimes parents don't have time, so they send the children for tuition. Then tuition teacher will have the traditional way to teach
okay.
reading. So how do the traditional teaching go? That okay, TH either CAT cat, IS is. So they teach the child to spell the words. And I'm like, no, please don't do that. And it happens once. Then after some, like you inform the respected tuition teacher, again she will come back to her traditional teaching. So then there is a contradiction between,
Going on.
yeah, and that is going to really confuse the child how he or she is supposed to learn to read. So that's why parent involvement is the must, at least for few sessions. Then they get an idea how they have to work about it. And I'm also available for them on WhatsApp. So I ask them to send a video, whatever they work at home, so that I can make sure that they are using the strategy appropriately and correctly. And they do send videos.
Oh, wow.
So I
Good.
know, okay. And then I can tell them, no, no, this is how you should go about it. Or, oh, you are doing wonderful job. So yeah, that is what is about.
Thank you. As we were speaking, I was also thinking that when you have challenging kids, no matter how many sessions we do, the progress is very slow, like you said.
Right.
And there's some good days, many bad days. And parents only concentrate on the bad days and saying that I don't see progress. I find my child still struggling. So, as special educator, what would you say for parents? Because I'm sure parents are coming to you often and saying that it's expensive, and I'm sending my child 3 days a week, and still I find that the child is struggling.
Right. I'm glad that you brought this topic up. As a parent, they think, okay, academics is important, but they fail to understand that academics is just part of like one aspect of child's life. And a child, because he's gifted, we should not forget that. So he may be good in other co-curricular activities. He may be inclined to creative world like drawing, painting, sculpture, or music, dance, and we should not take that away from the child. So parents should remember, yes, sessions are important, therapy is important, school is also important, but co-curricular activities are equally important, because those activities are going to help the child to cope with his issues, because we know the child is gifted, so he or she is aware about his or her problems and weaknesses. But all the time, if you keep on saying, no, 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 you are not going to play cricket, you are not going for sports activity because we have a therapy or we have school exams coming up. But very important suggestion I like to give the parents again: never or don't stop their co-curricular activities, no matter what. Another suggestion I give the parents, that they can talk to the school authority and send the child, maybe after the session, or maybe bring the child early for the session, especially CBSE school students, because they spend like 8 to 4, like in attending because it's a day school. So that is also something the parents can work out. But their co-curricular activity, whichever the child is interested in, it may be sports or it may be any creative idea or creative stuff, the parents should continue that.
I think I agree with you on this because as much as it is a challenge, and just look at it from a child's point of view, everybody is saying you're struggling with this. The
Yeah,
school is telling, the parents are saying at home, and the child sees himself taking a special coaching. Well, other children are able to do other activities, and his activity
right,
time is, divided where he has to pay more attention. And that is the reason why your recommendation comes highly, because we have to understand that as long as we give them that extra space, that makes it bearable for them to work on the time when they come for therapy, remedial work, basically.
correct,
Yeah,
right.
because otherwise it becomes really monotonous and very stressful for the child as well.
And as a psychologist, even that uh, as a, we all are humans, and if you are not good at something and you are forced to do something
Yeah,
which
I
you are
know.
not good at, you are going to
You will not
avoid
like.
that. You're not going to avoid that after some time. So that
And
basic thing they should also realize.
I've found a lot of students, especially because they're gifted, they're very creative and manipulative, and they can really dodge the bullet by submitting things or writing things in different ways in which they can get away so that they can go about doing what they love doing. So we should use the child's strength is where
Right.
I would like that we should talk about. So when parents come and they talk about only weaknesses of the child, how do you go about sharing that there are other aspects of the child that needs to be concentrated, which will facilitate his current situation as well?
Okay. When they come with this negative feedback about the child all the time,
Yeah.
that no matter, he's still getting confused between P and D, what to do, how many sessions are going to still require.
Or
I'm
even
really
ADD
tired.
and ADHD in those
See,
also.
ADHD kids will have difficulty in reading, writing because of their hyperactivity part, or and maybe like you said, ADHD child will have impulsive part as well. So most of the ADHD kids, like I had mentioned in our earlier presentation, that they may require occupational therapy as well to monitor their
Mm.
ADHD part of their development.
B.
Uh, and so when the parents come with the negative feedback, I have to really counsel them to look at the positive part of it and assure them from time to time, because it just doesn't reach parents in one session or two sessions, It's just a phase, they just are very depressed sometimes, parents are frustrated, and you still have to make them realize, no, he's good at it, just question of few months and your child is going to be just fine. So don't stress out.
I like the part where you're spending time equally with the parents when they come and reaching out to, demystify the myths that are there. That if you spend more time, that means the child will learn faster. It doesn't happen like that. It's like a seesaw. There is an up and down. There's some good days and there's some very bad
Right,
days. And what we need to do is be emotionally supportive for the child. That is
right,
really very important. And coaching parents to understand child's emotions. If he is very, instead of pushing the child saying, no, no, finish off another
right,
chapters or portions, instead of saying, what can we do? Let's take a break. Let's work out together. Let's try to
right,
understand by looking at a video or, Khan Academy or something like that and get back. Or do your favorite stuff, spend
right,
10-15 minutes of a music or listen to music or dance or read a storybook and then come back and sit down and do it as
right.
well.
Yeah. So
And yeah, sure, please go ahead.
I will just add one more point, like you were saying, that we have to even keep on telling them and making them understand the nature of that disability part, at
That is
twice
true.
exceptionality part.
That's true.
So
Yeah,
that is what only I wanted to add, that nature and diagnosis they should understand, because
understand.
they are still confused parents
Like that.
most of the time.
Yeah. I want you to throw light on how do we really go about choosing a special educator? Because these days we have a lot of people, and then you have these Rehabilitation Council of India, the RCI
Correct. Yes.
recognized people.
Right.
And so, can you just throw a little light on that for us?
Yeah. The parents, when they choose the professional for them, again, they have right to ask what is the educational background of that professional. They should look for the professional who is registered under Rehabilitation Council of India,
That's
RCI
right.
in short form. And each registered professional have their unique number, which is given to them, like how the doctors get their practicing number, we also get that number, which we have to renew every 5 years.
Okay.
Otherwise, that certificate is not valid.
Okay.
And we do have this Google available. The parents can anytime go look for that RCI number by
Ah,
entering into it and cross check whether that person is really registered under that number or not. So the
fantastic.
visiting card should have the professional's RCI number written on that.
Okay.
And of course, the experience you definitely look for. So RCI registered professional is the
Key
best
as well.
professional to go across. Now, but when we talk about the small villages and towns, then it is little difficult for them. So they may come across with the remedial teachers who are trained under such professional, but they
Hmm,
have to make sure they are going to the right professional
as
and
well.
getting required result. If they are not,
Hmm.
then they can go for second consultation to someone else.
Else. Yeah, I understand that. I also wanted to know when do you really go to an occupational therapist, speech therapist? Because all these sometimes come in combinations. Developmental pediatrics is required. Or when do
Right.
we decide that I need to go into NIOS, the open, system? Because these days children have these options and parents are not well educated about that. So can you just share a little
Right.
bit about that?
Okay. So your question is in two parts. So I will answer the first part of it. Uh, Usually, if we need to get the proper diagnosis of learning disability or ADHD or ADD along with giftedness, Then the clinical psychologist comes in picture, and also developmental pediatrician if required.
Comes.
Okay. Then in some cases, especially the children with ADD and ADHD, medication is required after certain years of therapy. So that is when the parents should consider the medication if required. We as professionals don't recommend medicines right away. So parents should remember taking medication is not the first step. So when the child has giftedness along with ADD or ADHD, the child may require occupational therapy because the occupational therapist who is trained under sensory integration for sensory integration skills. Now this is required because sometimes the ADHD is due to the or that hyperactivity is due to the what do you say, the sensory system is not integrated that way. And occupational therapist plays very important role to integrate that sensory system so the child is little composed and quiet. But not all children will require occupational therapy. After working or after taking few sessions, I realized no, now I need to add occupational therapy in child's therapy schedule. And this therapy should be done in combination. It shouldn't be that, okay, first I'll finish occupational therapy, then I will start remedial. That is not how it works out. Most of our gifted individuals may not require speech therapy. Only if there is auditory processing skills are somehow affected, then only. But very, very rare. I don't think of anyone who needs speech therapy
as such.
Yeah. What was your second?
You wanted to say something?
No, you said you had another question also about.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the significance of play, because once we come to know that there is a difficulty, our parents normally, take away all the joys of the child's life by stopping extracurricular activities, reducing other activities, and just focus more on remedial or things connected to that. And looking from the child's point of view, to me, it looks like it must be such a sad world for them if they have to continuously just be on this, moving from one place to the other for enhancing their academics. So what is your take on how parents should balance extracurricular activity like a sport or a music or something along with remedial and school?
Yeah, I had, I think, answered that question a little bit previously, but I will repeat that again. When it comes to balancing their therapy part, school part, and co-curricular part like play or any other sports activity, the parents can take permission from the authority to release the child for therapy. So it's okay if he is gifted. So it's okay if he attends school for like partially maybe if required. And whichever the child is interested in sports, they can take the child for the sports activity and they should not stop that
activity. And the last question is on how does that affect if they are siblings?
Repeat your question.
How does it affect when they are siblings involved? So you have another child, and this child is being given all special treatment because they need to take them, so parents struggle in parenting, especially focusing on this child and that child. So I'm sure they must be talking to you about that as well.
Right. So usually if the child has a sibling, I keep on telling them that have a separate time with that sibling where our twice exceptional child is not involved, and make sure the child is not feeling being avoided or neglected, because ultimately what may happen that the sibling may not have good connection with twice exceptional. May not have that bond, or may not develop that bond as a sibling. So it's quite a challenge, and if the parents require help, they should take help. They themselves should take help from the professional who can guide them about parenting and how to, balance the life between two children.
Wow.
So they can
Okay.
be of great help.
I understand that it becomes equally a challenge, and we need to have to address parents individually so that they can have the positivity and energy to deal with this situation, because on a regular basis it becomes very stressful to handle.
Right.
So, with this, I'd like to just say thank you so much, Mukta. It was wonderful to hear from you once again about how parents, uh, from a parent's perspective, what is really required. Because when we get in looking at the child, sometimes we neglect the people who are involved also who make this happen. And we need to pay attention. And I hope our conversation today will be useful for a lot of parents. So thank you so much for being there with us today.
Even I was very happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me again. And I just hope this helps parents in future. Thank you, Devasena, for inviting me to discuss the parenting, how to parent, how do the parents should go about parenting twice exceptional child. And I just hope that this discussion helps all the parents who have twice exceptional child. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.